All right, now let's talk about the process of communication. There are three different models for communication processes. The first model is called the linear model. Now, this was the only model that I studied when I was in college because it was the only one that had been developed at that time. And so the linear model is a very simple, basic model, but it's a great starting point to identify key terms in the communication process. First, you're going to have the sender. I guess I should use puppets maybe. So the sender is over here, and the sender is the person who's starting the message. So the sender talks or writes, somehow communicates the message, and so the message travels over here. The message can be sent through signals, it can be sent through symbols. There are different ways to define the mode, the method of communication. And so the message will travel all the way over here to the receiver. Well, the receiver is just listening in this model of communication. So the sender is sending the message, the receiver is receiving the message. This model of communication also accounts for noise. There's noise in the middle that comes up to distract the message. Now, there are different types of noise. You can have internal noise. Maybe you're hungry right now, and your stomach is sending your brain a signal that says, get food. And so you are being distracted by your stomach, and perhaps if your stomach is loud enough, you've got some external noise because you hear your stomach growling. Maybe you hear the person beside you and their stomach is growling. That's external noise, and that's distracting this message from being sent from the receiver or the sender. And that's me, I'm the sender, to you, the receiver. And so the message is traveling, but there's noise coming up. Maybe there's other factors of external noise. Maybe you're riding in a car, the other people in the car are talking. Maybe you're sitting in Starbucks right now, you're lucky, and you're watching people coming in and out of the store, people getting their orders, you're smelling the coffee. And so there's a number of different ways that this noise can interfere with the message traveling from sender to receiver. Now let's look at the second model. The second model is called the interactive model of communication. Now this model is great because it not only includes the sender and the receiver and the noise, but it also accounts for feedback. Now feedback is when the receiver communicates with the sender. This can happen in a variety of different ways. The receiver can do nonverbal feedback. They can nod their head, yes, I'm listening, I agree, I understand. They could nod their head, no, I don't understand, I don't receive your message, I need help. They could fall asleep, your message is boring. And so the sender can see the feedback that the receiver is giving, and it gives us more of a two-dimensional method of looking at communication, as the sender is sending, but the sender is also receiving the feedback. The receiver is receiving the message, but also sending a message through feedback back to the sender. And so this method, this model of communication is great because it includes that element of feedback that is so necessary to analyze communication. Now, there's a third model of communication. This model of communication is called the transactional model of communication. Now, this model is the best, and this is our most recent model of communication. I'm sure they'll develop another one after that, but this model of communication takes into account time and how your sender and your receivers are communicating at the same time, but their fields of experience, what I know, and as I'm growing and as my field of experience is changing during the communication, also you have to account for that same level on the receiving end. And this person is simultaneously sending and receiving communication, but time is changing. And as we progress, as our model progresses through time, and as the communication continues to happen, but time changes us and our fields of experience evolve, we have to take all that into account because the message is interpreted differently and is sent differently and is internalized in different ways. Communication changes us. And your book talked about how we build our identity through communication and how others help build our identity through communicating to us. I just love analyzing communication. I love thinking about all the different ways that our lives are impacted through communication. And I hope that this brief mini lecture about these 3 models of communication will kind of help you as you go through chapter 1, as you prepare for your quiz.